Calvin Booth, interesting comments about Jokic's prime. Ryan, I want to hear from you in a second, but first, I want to play what exactly Calvin Booth said about Joker, and I want to get your immediate response.
Yeah, I'd like to look at it. In a best case scenario, I think Nikola has like a prime 10-year contention window, and if you count the first year of that when Jamal got hurt, I think we're about halfway through it. So we probably have about 5 more single shots, and all those shots count. So we want to try to, if we hit one of them, it's great, and the earlier we hit it, the more we can have other conversations about other things. But it's going to be incredibly hard to win another one.
Interesting.
I know what my thoughts are, Ryan. Please tell me what you think.
Yeah, so I've actually done some data work on this and was trying to figure out, okay, how long does Nikola Jokic have playing at this level, playing at like a top 3, top 5 regular season and playoff player kind of level? Because that's really the conversation that we're having, right? Like, how long can Jokic carry a championship window for the Denver Nuggets? And the number that I came up with was another 4 years, and he's saying 5. He's Calvin Booth saying 5, and so I think a lot of his stuff is more focused on the data and reality and trying not to overpromise and underdeliver in some of these cases. But yeah, it was an interesting pivot, given that we'd been previously discussing dynasties, previously been discussing how many championships you can get as opposed to just getting another one.
I think this is where Nuggets fans feel a little unsatisfied. So we got the title in 2023, and if he said it started the year Jamal got hurt, well, that was 2021 when Jokic won his first MVP, and Jamal played 48 games that year.
Yeah.
The next year was 21-22, where Jokic played, was it 80 games that year or something like that? 78 maybe?
Yeah, I think it was a lot. It was like 74.
27-14, 8 year.
Yeah.
No Murray or Porter. And then you get 1 year where everybody's fully healthy and they walk down the entire NBA.
Yeah.
And then you get last year and Jamal Murray is also not healthy. So we really have had only 1 year since Jokic's prime, per estimation of Calvin Booth, that he's had a fully healthy contender roster around him. And I think for me, that kind of speaks to, okay, well, if Calvin knows that, then for me, I think the speed and the efficiency in which I'd be moving right now would be like all-time pace. And, I thought about this as well. I would say that for the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan entered his MVP prime about 1987. Is about when that happened. But until about 1997-8, he was the best player in the world. So he had about a 10 to 11 year window.
Yeah, it did have a couple years off in the middle there, but I agree.
Right, because it's, his father being murdered, and then obviously, just retiring, going to play baseball. LeBron, 2000. I would say LeBron legitimately could have won the title from 2010 to 20.
Yeah,
the whole decade. 2009, I think it was too much to happen. Kareem was also 71 to like 86 or something like that.
Getting carried a little bit towards the end of that, obviously, but so I think
Joker has a similar.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think so, and so maybe Calvin and I are a little bit off in terms of our actual estimations, and Calvin named I think 4 years, and maybe he's got another 6, and maybe I'm wrong in saying 4 more years left, and maybe it's actually 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever the number is. And so I talked about this on my show last night. It's also one of the reasons why Calvin, I think, felt okay letting go of KCP, was because over the course of these 4, 5, 6 years, I think it's pretty clear that Christian Braun, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson probably going to make more of an impact over the 4 to 5 to 6 year window than a 31, 32-year-old KCP, who then towards the end of that will be 36, 37, 38.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not surprised that we are like, this is kind of the longer term view that he has had with this, but you got to make sure to hit. You got to make sure to do everything in your power to make sure all those moves are correct. And it also isn't super awesome that Denver doesn't really have that many first round picks left.
Yeah. I also want to remind everybody, because I do this all the time with Players' Choice now. All we do is go back in history. All we do. Hakeem's peak wasn't until 31, 32. Like everybody remembers Hakeem won back-to-back titles, but Hakeem didn't go on like the Hakeem runs until 94 to 95. And that's when he got himself etched in like, oh, this is top 7 player of all time type thing. So Jokic, for me, things go right for him. The roster's there. I think Jokic could have like a similar LeBron curve. Remember, LeBron turned 30 the 14-15 year in December. Then he went to the finals, lost, and then went to the finals again the next year and then won. That's when they were down 3-1. I think Jokic easily can have that in his bag. I think the difference is Jokic is going to need Jamal, Porter, and Gordon. And for real, and I think, we'll see how this kind of lays itself out. He's going to need one of those dudes to like continue to elevate, and then he's going to need one of Peyton Watson, Julian Strother, or whatever young gun comes in to become like an all-star caliber player. I think that's kind of where you have to head when you start getting into that. Because again, remember, you think about that roster. Sam Cassell was on that roster with the Houston Rockets. They had Vernon Maxwell was on that roster. Mm-hmm. They eventually got Clyde later on for that last run.
Yep.
So they just kept adding talent. Kenny Smith was there. Robert Horry was there. They were stacked.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what the Nuggets have to do. You just have to fortify your all-time great. Because again, the only reason I'm bringing them Houston hasn't won anything since, y'all. They had Harden. They almost won. They haven't won anything since they had Hakeem. I just want people to understand how rare it is. This is not the Spurs. The Spurs got Artis Gilmore, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and then Wemby. Like we're not the Spurs. We're gonna have Jokic, and then hopefully 40 years from now, Ryan Blackburn's grandson, Charlie Blackburn, or whatever else is gonna come along, be a top 5 player.
You picked the whitest name you could find, right? Yeah. Okay. There we go. No. So I think so. One interesting point there. Do you think Russell Westbrook counts in terms of that,
No.
like Robert Horry kind of conversation?
Robert Horry was in his early 20s when he played there, and he was just a 6'10" dog, like a defender shooter. Like he would be elite in this era.
Yeah, so I think that's fascinating, and I think that so you're shooting higher. You're shooting higher if you're looking to bolster Jokic's prime. You're trying to get as much talent in the door as possible and make it work. One other thing, I was looking at this. LeBron's 13th season was 2015-16. It was the year they won the Cavs title. Yeah. That's 13th reason why. That was not where I was going. Steph's 13th season that he played was 2021-22. The year that they won kind of their last hurrah kind of title. Michael Jordan's 13th season was the Last Dance year, 1997-98. And so I'm kind of thinking of that as the last sort of hurrah opportunity. And that's in 4 years. And in between now and then.
Well, that wasn't LeBron's last hurrah, by the way.
It wasn't. And so
another 5 years.
I want to make sure that I am not comparing Nikola Jokic to LeBron James in terms of physical peak and longevity. That I think is
LeBron. LeBron had an 09 peak, a 12-13 peak, a 17-18 peak, and then a 20 peak.
Yeah, it's he's ridiculous, man. But so I think it's fair to call that kind of 13th year, 14th year, sort of where that's the last real opportunity. So in between now and then, if you're the Denver Nuggets, you have to maximize each of those opportunities. And that's what Calvin Booth was saying there. I don't think that they maximized this last year that well. I think that will change going forward, but it's going to be interesting to see whether they can or not. They have fully committed to Nikola Jokic, to Jamal Murray. Michael Porter's on contract for 3 years. It seems like they're trying to get a deal done with Aaron Gordon as well. Yeah. So that's your core, and it's all about kind of bolstering around that group.
Right now, who do you think the fifth core member will be by next year?
The odds say Christian Brown because he's going to get that opportunity within that starting group, I think. But, I mean, you could make a case for any of them. Like if we're talking more three-point shooting, Julian Strother is going to be your guy. Mm-hmm. If we're talking defense and athleticism and playmaking capability, then we're probably talking Peyton Watson. But I think more than likely, Christian Brown is your steady KCP replacement.
Yeah. Y'all, what do y'all think? Let us know in the comment section. How long do you think Jokic's prime will be? How many more years of like number one basketball player in the world of greatness we'll get? How do you think the Nuggets should continue to develop into the future? And how do you feel like this season is going to go towards making sure we're giving everything for Jokic during his prime. Let us know. This is Ryan and Swipa. See y'all on the other side.